truly special that could revolutionize your academic journey. It's called Glintplus, and believe me, it's a lot more than your typical academic service provider. Navigating the world of academia isn't easy. It's all about pioneering research, meticulous editing, and striving for nothing less than excellence amidst fierce competition. That's exactly where Glintplus comes in, to ensure that you invest your precious time where it really matters, your research. Why, you ask? Because your success is our mission. But that's not all. Our services cover a wide range. Need to get your latest research published? Glintplus hosts top-notch journals you can count on. Worried about language barriers? Our editing and translation services will refine your work and make it accessible worldwide. Considering compiling your expertise into a book? We're here to help you publish it. And for those who thrive on collaboration, Researchment is a platform for connecting researchers across the globe, fostering innovation and discovery that only happens when brilliant minds unite. We also publish journals for some prestigious institutions and associations. Presently, our journals include Chemistry of the Total Environment, Journal of Mining and Geosciences, Journal of Agriculture and Applied Biotechnology, and Ondo University Journal of Agriculture and Social Sciences. At Glintplus, we take enormous pride in our manuscript review process. It isn't just comprehensive, it's crafted to ensure your work meets the most stringent standards. Yes, our versatility knows no bounds. Moreover, Glintplus is a staunch advocate of knowledge accessibility for all. So if you're aiming to make a significant impact in your field, think of Glintplus as your dedicated partner. We're more than just a scholarly support service. We're a vibrant community dedicated to fostering academic excellence. Stay connected with us through our website, email, or social media channels. Let's push the boundaries of knowledge together. With Glintplus, you're not just surviving in the world of academia, you're thriving.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to welcome you back. I want to welcome back all participants. Now, I will invite Mr. Ayomide to come up and introduce by reading the resume of our guest speaker for today. But before Ayomide does that, I want to quickly remind you, and I've hammered it once, that there is a very, very important announcement that you need to listen to, because this is the end, this is the last in this series that we're having now, the 12th edition, and there are important messages that you need to get to know, especially about what will happen by next month. We have that package for you at the end, towards the end, after the lectures. So over to you, Emily. Thank you.
So thank you, sir. So I'll go ahead to introduce our guest speaker for this final edition in this series in person of Professor Sidiqat Aderinoye-Abdulwahab. She holds a Bachelor of Agriculture from the University of Ilorin 2003, a Diploma in Education from Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria in 2007, a Master's in Agricultural Extension from Usmanu Danfodio University in Sokoto in 2008, and a PhD Livelihoods and International Development from the University of Reading, UK in 2013. She was employed into the services of the University of Ilorin as an assistant lecturer in the Department of Agricultural Extension and Rural Development, the Faculty of Agriculture, on the 16th of June 2008, and she rose to the esteemed rank of professor effective 1st of October 2023. During these years, she has served as the department's level advisor, examination officer, postgraduate coordinator, SASCO African Fund for Extension SAFE coordinator, and head of department. Professor Abdulwahab has served in various university committees, where she was also a climate change postdoctoral research fellow of the Islamic Development Bank (ISDB) from 2021 to 2022, and currently she's a Rashak Research Fellow on Climate Smart Agricultural Practices from 2024 to 2025. She has published more than 60 articles in reputable local and international journals and has attended academic conferences both within and outside Nigeria. Her research is broadly in the area of agricultural extension and rural sociology. More specifically, she has focused on livelihood vulnerabilities, agricultural and environmental sustainability, climate change impacts on farmers' livelihoods, time budgeting for women, and rural youth engagements. She does this with a vision to alleviate hunger, livelihood insecurity, poverty, gender discrimination and imbalance, as well as to mitigate rural youth migration. Professor Sidiqat Aderinoye-Abdulwahab is married and blessed with children. And with this, I'll give the floor over to her to handle a presentation. You can go ahead, Ma.
Thank you, Ms. Ayomide, for that introduction. Let me start by greeting every one of us. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever we may be. And I thank you for joining me on this webinar today. The topic of discussion is going to be hooking your audience with succinct summaries in the abstract. I would like to start, by, sorry, please. Ms. Ayomide, do you want to control the slides for me, or do I just share? Please
you can
kindly
control it. And
Okay.
I've posted your question on the comments.
All right, thank you. Please, while we are at it, those questions, there are 2 questions for us. I would appreciate if you can answer it. Hopefully by the end of the webinar, we'll be able to discuss it. For some reason, I'm not able to navigate. Okay, yeah, thank you. So I'll take us through the introduction. I want us to bear in mind that the world is fast changing. And what do I mean by this? We have barely 24 hours in a day, but the 24 hours seem not to be enough for anyone anymore. So how does this relate to research? In crafting a compelling abstract, we need to do this within the ambient of time that we have, and do it in a way that, despite the fact that the time seems not to be enough for anyone, your research focus is appropriately communicated and transmitted to your audience. So in the next 20 minutes or thereabout, I would share practical tips and strategies with us that would help us to produce a succinct summary of your research that will catch your readers' attention, that will convey the findings that you want to convey, and that will leave your audience with a lasting impression so that they can better understand what your research is all about. So let's start this. We have the introduction. I'm going to define the abstract and also take us through the importance of abstract. Then we go into the focus of the discussion, which is hooking or engaging your audience. A sample abstract is going to be discussed as well. So what is an abstract? This is not like a lesson for us to come and learn what abstracts are. I want to believe that many of us, if not all, have written one abstract at a point in time in our professional career, and we are all therefore familiar with what abstracts are. But suffice to just add that it is a summary of a research article, and that it states the key components. And what are those key components? Any abstract should include a research statement, a research gap, or a statement of the problem. The abstract should justify why that research is being conducted. Of course, the objectives must be stated clearly, and you have to take us through the methodology that was used in producing that research. You also have to include your results and the implication for that study. The conclusion is also a must be in the abstract, and recommendations should also be mentioned. So if we know that abstract is a summary of our research, why is it important? Why do we have to engage in writing that abstract? Part of the questions that I have posted is that why is abstract important? And that at what point in the research cycle should you write the abstract? So the importance of abstract. The first thing I would like to say is that it gives a broad overview. And by this, we mean that anybody or any reader who is going through the abstract at a glance should be able to grasp the message. Not everyone will have the chance or opportunity to go through the entire article. So the abstract should say everything that you want your reader to catch from the research. The amount of effort you might have put into the research, no matter how long that research took, perhaps 6 months or 1 year or even more, you want to, in about 250 words, you want to communicate the entire journey through that abstract. So the second importance that I would like to mention is that abstract helps to hook or engage your reader. You want that reader to keep going. You don't want them to pick up the abstract, read the first 2 lines, and get put off. You want that reader to remain engaged and possibly move beyond the abstract and get into the entire article to see what you actually have in the research, in the publication. Again, abstract helps to facilitate, the search or indexing. So for example, you have a database that would help normally to categorize and retrieve documents. So if you are looking for materials or, research articles in a particular area, let's just say gender, for example, you want to be able to, through the abstract, be able to pick out or sieve out the relevant abstracts that will be beneficial for your work. Abstract helps to save time. How do I mean? When you have an abstract that is clearly written, in about 3 to 5 minutes, you've completed a journey of about a year. So in an abstract, you are able to quickly determine whether that work is going to be usable for you. That is, it helps you to determine usability in a very short time. For academic and professional communication, this is basically what an abstract is meant to do. It helps us to communicate our work. It enhances the sharing of the research outputs among users. So whenever anyone in the research world is in need of information or data, they go through the abstract. When you skim through the abstract, you are able to determine the content and you'll be able to determine whether it's useful for you and the ones to keep and the ones to discard. It helps to facilitate literature review. So for example, you are conducting a systematic literature survey. You want to coalesce several abstracts together that are relevant for the particular topic of interest. So when you do this, you are able to get information on different topics that have been written or conducted, research that have been conducted in that particular broad field or even specific area. Abstract also helps to boost the research impact. If a work has been done and it is not well communicated, if the abstract is poorly written, then you would have done a disservice to the impact of that particular study. So when you have an abstract that is well written, that catches your audience, that engages the audience, then indirectly you'd help to increase the impact, because this will make the work more understandable to people. It will also make it more accessible for your audience. And that way, the impact would take a leap. So now to the crux of the matter. How do you now hook your audience? You've written a well constructed abstract. How do you keep that reader focused? How do you keep your reader engaged? How do you ensure that the reader does not stop at the point of just reading the abstract? They proceed to, visiting the database in search of the main work, the full content, so that they can get more information. The first tip that I'm going to share with us is that the problem must be clearly stated. You have to describe the issue at stake. So if that issue is not well stated, then you probably would have lost a lot of reader from the very first sentence. In describing the problem, the very first sentence of the abstract must, and I mean must state clearly what the problem is. Oftentimes, we see a lot of abstracts that are written and people just move straight to tell us the research objectives. Or some people, in a poorly written abstract will tell you where the research was conducted. So for example, you can see an abstract that will state that this research was conducted in, or you see another abstract that will begin by stating that the aim of this research is to, yes, it's good to state the aim, whether in form of stating the goal or objectives. But first of all, before you tell us the objective of that research, you needed to have included or stated the problem, the research gap. Okay, so many things have been done. This is what is yet to be done, and this is what I want to add. Okay, all right. It could be that, okay, there is this social problem. This is happening around us. This is happening, or that other thing is happening around us. So you want to conduct a research to find a solution to that particular problem. So number one thing, or number one tip that you need to ensure that when you are producing your abstract, from the very beginning, you must state what the problem is clearly. Then you have to state how germane that problem is. When you mention the problem, you need to amplify it. You need to magnify that problem and let people see the reason why that research is important or necessary in the first instance. So even if there is a problem and that problem is not germane, if that problem is not important, that means it is not worth researching about. So you need to find a way to craft that first two statements to let us see the magnitude of the problem. And immediately, in justifying that work by way of aim or goal, you need to let us know the likely solution to the problem, because that will be what you are going to contribute to knowledge. That is why or how that research would have been necessary in the first instance. So ensure that in your first 2-3 sentences of the abstract.
Prof, if it is possible to increase your volume a bit.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me increase the volume.
Yeah.
Is it better now? Is it better? Am I louder?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the first 2-3 sentences of the abstract, ensure that not only is the problem well articulated, the magnitude of that problem should have been showcased, and a likely solution to the problem must be given. After this, you can then move to the objectives. And that way, again, you can let us know the impact of the study. So you have to highlight the potential benefits and implication. You might wonder or think that in abstract that is supposed to be short, can you actually do all of this? Yes, we can. And we will see this in a sample abstract. In about 100, as low as 100 words to 250 words, you can actually say a lot. You can convey so many things succinctly that would catch or engage your audience. Then you have to make your language catchy. But again, you need to be mindful. In as much as you want to use catchy or engaging words, you have to be mindful of the fact that little things can put your reader off editorials. Definitely for the work to be published, it must have gone through series of peer review. So we need to read through and ensure that minor errors or editorials are eliminated. Again, because at the point that you are writing your abstract, you want to convince that publishing house to accept your work. So if you have too many errors or too many flaws, that will already put the reviewers off, and they may not even get to the point of going into the work, because the abstract would be the first thing for them to read. It is even the abstract that would make them decide whether that research work is even worthy of consideration by the publishing house. So we should be mindful of our words, as well as try to make as well as try to use words that you can use to grab the attention of your reader. And finally, the tip that I'm going to mention is that you have to keep it brief. Like I said, abstracts can be anywhere from 100 to 250 words, depending on the publisher's guide. But you have to keep it brief. And as much as you are trying to keep it brief, ensure that all relevant information and the useful information are all included in the abstract. We'll move to the sample abstract. Okay, what I have here is pastoralist knowledge of Napier cultivation. And there's a rider to it, implication for social and environmental security in Nigeria. When you are writing an abstract, the title comes first. The question that was on is that what point do we write an abstract? Abstract is what a reader will read first or come across first. It is at the beginning that you see the abstract. But of course, the work must have been concluded. It must have been concluded before you can write the abstract. A few times we have some non-ethical behaviors in the academia whereby people write the abstract first, but you are likely to run into some problems or even a danger, call it a danger, because by the time you are starting with the abstract, the work is not yet done, and that would be like completely inappropriate. The best way to approach an abstract is to have completed the work. Then you now be able to sieve out the key findings or the major highlights that is supposed to be in an abstract. So when you look at this topic, even though abstract is about 100 to 250 words, the title might not be more than 10 words up to 20 words, maybe 18 or 15 on average. But that title must clearly state everything that research is all about. So look at pastoralist knowledge of Napier cultivation. We have communicated some things. You know, we are talking about knowledge. We are talking about a research audience, pastoralist probably. And there's something about Napier cultivation. So what is it that is Napier? What is the problem? Okay, we understand that we have knowledge of Napier cultivation by the pastoralists, but what is the problem? We said implication for social and environmental security in Nigeria. So it's likely that there is social insecurity, there is environmental insecurity. So this work or this research is likely going to tell us how to solve those two problems, problem of social security, problem of environmental security, among pastoralists probably, and is likely going to profile a solution in the cultivation of Napier grass. Napier is a grass, in the cultivation of Napier. So let's go through these abstracts as fast as we can to see if we have showcased or highlighted those things. I might be having to move back to that particular slide where we have given the tips on how to engage our audience. So the first thing is to state the problem clearly. Does this state the problem clearly? Conflicts, let me see. Am I able to enlarge this? Conflicts involving farming communities and itinerant pastoralists have resulted in social unrest, while literature on the knowledge level of pastoralists in cultivating Napier grass is scarce. Let's pause there. We are saying that there are conflicts that are involving farming communities and pastoralists, and that these conflicts have resulted in social unrest. So a problem has been highlighted from the very first beginning. And the second problem is merged into that first part of the sentence, that literature on the knowledge level of pastoralists in cultivating Napier grass is scarce. Hence, this study seeks to ascertain if pastoralists can cultivate Napier grass to ensure feed, social, and environmental security. An abstract has to be clear, like I said, it has to be direct. And as direct as it may be, the problem must be clearly stated from the very beginning. And while you are stating that problem, immediately introduce the likely solution to that problem. That way, you're already justifying the reason for conducting that research. Then the next sentence, we said, the study was conducted in North Central Nigeria, and we've dived into methodology. In the first sentence of about 3 lines, you've stated the problem. I'll go back to that slide. In the first 3 lines of the abstract, you've stated the problem. You've told us how germane or how serious the problem is. What is the issue? We've magnified it, that there is social and environmental insecurity. And you've stated what the impact, the potential benefit, that if that study is conducted, is it possible for pastoralists to be able to ensure feed security, social security, and environmental security? So now we've moved to the methodology, that the research is to be conducted in North Central Nigeria, and that is two-stage sampling procedure was adopted to select 208 pastoralists and 8 extension practitioners for the study. Again, still under methodology, the abstract is stating that questionnaire and focus group discussions were used for conducting the research, and that content analysis, inferential statistics, and descriptive statistics were used to analyze the data. Then immediately after the methodology, we proceed to the results. The results showed that the majority of pastoralists, the percentage stated in brackets, had no knowledge of Napier grass cultivation. Multiple regression analysis also showed that age, area of residence, years of experience in cattle rearing, method of feeding cattle, and awareness of Napier grass were the factors that determined pastoralist knowledge of Napier cultivation. Results also of the multiple regression showed in brackets. The extension practitioner. Now we are moving, the study is winding down, concluding and trying to offer recommendation that the extension practitioners affirmed that massive cultivation of Napier grass by the pastoralist is a sustainable roadmap to social environmental security while securing constant feed for cattle. The solution to the problem that, okay, if Napier is cultivated in en masse, in large numbers, is going to help to solve those three problems that were earlier stated at the beginning. Sorry. And I'm struggling to see, okay, and the study concluded that although 76% of the pastoralists, through focus group discussion, are agricultural are willing to contribute to Napier, they do not have the requisite knowledge of the benefits and implications. Thus, agricultural extension policy and training that can foster and improve the knowledge of pastoralists is needed to promote social and environmental security. That's the conclusion and recommendation for the study. So in about 250 words, about 240 words, this abstract is about 240 words. It has given us those, it has taken us through those tips that I earlier mentioned. It is brief in the sense that it is within, the common average of number of words for abstract, depending on the publisher's guide. And it has started with the problem, stated how profound or how germane that problem was or is, and the main contribution has been stated. Again, the impact will be easy for us to determine because the potential benefits or the implications of cultivating Napier grass has been stated. So as a wrap-up, I would like to state that abstract is arguably the most important aspect. That's after discussion. Bear in mind again that not everyone will end up reading the entire manuscript or the entire article. Some people will stop at the abstract. You want to hook your audience to complete reading the abstract because sometimes it's that bad that people don't even get to read the abstract to the end, especially if the key ingredients are not stated at the beginning. So once the audience is put off, they don't even get to read the abstract to the end. But if you are lucky to have written, if you are smart enough to have written that abstract, that you have kept your audience engaged to read the abstract to the end, they may likely want to proceed to the entire document if they determine that it is useful for them. So once people are able to determine that this entire publication is useful, then they are able to proceed on. But again, when you are talking about the discussion is very important. It is only someone who has taken the pain to read the entire article that will get to the discussion. So without the entire article, I would want to say, and I think many might agree with me, that abstract is the most important aspect of a research article. However, that abstract is supposed to sell your thoughts. So you have to do your best to make it clear. You have to do your best to make it succinct. You have to do your best to make it engaging. It is the key or the path that will lead to an impactful research. And on this note, I would want to say that is the end of my presentation, and I thank you all for listening. I hope I stayed within the time frame given to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much. I think it's very exciting. Gentlemen and dear esteemed participants, I'm sure you agree with me that this is an in-depth discussion. This is an in-depth analysis of how an abstract should be and the key ingredients that is needed in an abstract. For now, so once again, I want to thank you, Prof, for taking us through. I know, and I'm very sure that a lot of questions will have been bothering the minds of our participants, and I will open the floor for them to bring up their questions, and Ayomide will bring them up so that you can react to them. But let me fire the first one. The paper where this abstract is, this abstract is about a paper. Please, how many pages? How many pages are these? Is the paper that this abstract is written from? Where I'm coming from is to understand the importance of the abstract still more.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is the full length of the paper is about 7,500 words, and we'll be talking, depending on the font size and type, we'll be talking about 20 pages roughly, plus or minus maybe two pages. So in appreciating the beauty of an abstract, you want to summarize about 20 pages into just a page, and that page is not even a full page, because when you have about 250 words, it's probably like half or three-quarter of a page of Microsoft Word. So you want to summarize that abstract in about 250 words, thereabout. And we're talking of about 18 page documents.
Okay, thank you very much. What I was also trying to drive at is that even in thesis that we write for either BSc, MSc, or even PhD, most of the time when we want to get them published, they still end up with these 200 and 250 words and those things. And I think that emphasizes the fact that to understand the rudiments of an abstract is very, very important, because it is the key that unlock all other things that you have done. Thank you very much, ma. Are there questions from?
Yeah, there are some questions.
Let me go through the comment. Okay, you can see some. Okay, there is one.
I can see some questions already.
Oh yeah, please go ahead, ma.
Okay. All right, okay. Though in addition to that, by the time we are talking of thesis, be it MSc dissertation or PhD thesis, they tend to increase the number of words, because it might not be too easy to have like 200-page documents summarized in 250 words. Again, when we are writing grants, for example, for proposals, because the executive summary represents the abstract, that may be increased to like 500 words, 1,000 words, 1,500 words, even for you to have space to be able to showcase what you have. Yeah. But some of the questions that I'm able to pick here, that's where you have five objectives.
Sorry, ma, before you go there, where I'm also driving at, I understand the perspective you are coming from, but the question is, while writing the thesis, you are given opportunity to make it more. But in case you want to turn it to a published article, will it not still come back to the 200 to 50?
Yes. In research publication, yes, it has to. But again, in a thesis, you can have up to 3, 4, 5 publications. So that will give you, more space. Your objectives, maybe you have 5, 7 objectives for the thesis. You could break it down. You could have just 2 objectives for one research publication, something like that. Thank you. So, second question here by someone. That when do you write a abstract? Like the question I posed earlier, a lot of people have given us some answers. The abstract is usually written at the end of the work, even though it is the first thing that you will see in a publication, but it's written at the end of the work. That if you have like 5 objectives, which ones are you going to showcase in your abstract? The abstract, like we said, is a summary, and it is everything. Remember, I said even the topic must have stated everything. And when we say everything, in your topic, you have the aim of the research. You have your target population included in that topic. You have the aim, meaning you've covered the objectives. And you have the implication showcased in that topic, even though it is just a sentence of about 18 words or 15 words. So the objectives all must be included. It is not compulsory that you state them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when you have 5 objectives. You could capture those objectives even in one sentence. If you have 5 objectives, all 5 objectives can be captured in one sentence or 2 sentences. And if you want to list, you could list 2 of those objectives in a manner that will represent the 5. So you are starting from the beginning and you are giving the end. And that is why we are always saying major summary of major findings. So when you are also presenting your results, you present those results in line with the objectives that you have stated in your abstract. And those findings must be the cogent or the main, results. Like in extension now, we usually have socioeconomic characteristics as one. But when you are presenting your results, you will present the results in line with those characteristics. So if we go back to the abstract that I gave, I mentioned part of the results. We're talking about certain percentage of the respondents are this. You may not want to bother us in the abstract about how many are females or how many are males, because that will not be a major finding. Leave that for the reader to go and read in the entire content. So the abstract is supposed to be succinct, it's supposed to be clear, and it's supposed to be sharp and give the major highlights of the research.
Okay. I'm sure some of your explanation will have answered a lot of questions.
Yes,
but maybe you try to make it shorter because more questions are coming in. Okay. I'll hand over to you. Bring the next question on the screen. There was the previous one. Was it taken? Ayomide? Okay. Prof, just go ahead, man.
Okay. I also saw a question here. What are those qualities that make my abstract not only summarizing but attractive to the readers? There was something, a way I would like to approach this question is to let us know that we have 3 types of abstracts. We have 3 types of abstract. We have informative abstract, we have descriptive abstract, and we have abstracts that are analytical in nature or argumentative. So the abstract, it depends on what you have in it. That abstract could have been descriptive, or it could have given a lot of information, or it could have been argumentative or analytical. Unfortunately, we are not able to, communicate, but maybe somebody can just put it, people can answer it on the screen for us to see. The abstract that we have, the sample abstract that we treated, where would you want to rank it? Is it informative? Is it descriptive? Is it argumentative / analytical? I use that to answer this question that somebody asked. What are those qualities that make my abstract not only summarizing but also attractive to readers? So it depends on what you want in your abstract. After you have written the abstract, go through it. You should be able to determine if it is informative. You want your abstract to be informative. You don't want to be too descriptive, and an abstract to be too descriptive if the work itself is descriptive. So in determining the quality, just make sure you go for the major highlights, the major findings in the work, and ensure that you have included the implication of that research. Once the implication is captured, then hopefully you would have produced a qualitative abstract and not just a summary of descriptions.
Okay, thank you, ma. Please, Prof,
all right.
In order to carry the audience along better, we'd like you to read from the screen, because our technical person is putting questions directly on your screen.
Okay.
You can,
all right.
Take it from there, it's better. So
okay.
that we'll be on the same page.
Now.
Yes.
What part of the result of your work needs to be included in the abstract? What parts of the results? I think we have stressed this more than enough. The major findings. The major findings are the ones to be included in the abstract. And this question, I think I took this one already, where you have 5 objectives. Does it mean that
Okay.
all results related to the objectives are showcased in the I've answered that. Then
What about the
concerning methodology, if I am not using either qualitative or quantitative analysis, do I need to state my methodology? Yes, even if it is a reviewed article, you need to state your methodology. And that methodology must not necessarily be about sampling or sampling procedure or inferential statistics. Whatever methodology, even if your methodology is about collecting literature review, you state it. Even if your methodology involves travel, if your methodology involves experimental design in the laboratory, whatever methodology is about how did you collect the research, the data for the research. However you have collected your research, state it in the abstract, even if it is in one sentence.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a sequential order for writing an abstract, considering the points you highlighted, Ma, or can it be in any format? No, usually it's not in any format. We start with the problem, research gap or statement of the problem, then you move to the objectives. I think those were the things I mentioned at the beginning, to the objectives, then you take us through the methodology. Then of course, after your methodology, you have your results and conclusion and recommendation. Please, Ma, what is the correct standard of presenting an abstract? Is it one block or different publishing houses have different guides? You just have to follow the abstract. When you are submitting an article for publication in any journal or any publishing house, they always have a format that they want you to follow. Commonly, yes, we do have one block, commonly, but some will even partition their abstract into introduction. They will have subheadings for the abstract.
Yeah.
And some abstracts can be, they will tell you they want 1,000 words for their abstract, not even 250. And they will give you the headings that they want you to use. So in the event that you don't have those restrictions, typically what is common is that abstract is usually 200 to 250 words and is usually presented in one block. But this is not sacrosanct. It depends on the publishing house. What are the common mistakes that writers make when attempting to summarize their work in an abstract? The first one and the most commonest one, in my experience, is what I mentioned at the beginning. A lot of abstracts would not state the research gap. A lot of abstracts would not mention the statement of the problem. Just go straight to the methodology or start with the area of study. That is, in fact, very appalling when you when you write an abstract and you don't have a problem. Then you know that foundation is already wobbling.
Okay. Prof, Ma, I want you to take them short because of our time. And I discovered that the questions keeps coming. Thank you, Ma. Hello? Hello, Prof. Hello, Prof. Are you there?
Have your conclusion and your recommendation.
Okay.
At the end. So keep those two things in mind. At the beginning, make sure your research problem is stated from the word go, and make sure that at the end, you have your conclusion and recommendation. What are the qualities that make my abstract not only, I've attended to that make my abstract not only summarizing, but also attractive to the readers? Then another question, should my abstract be informative or descriptive if it's experimental research? If it's experimental research, you probably want to adopt descriptive because it's practical and you have the steps that you have followed. So you may want to make it descriptive. But let me sound a note of caution. That you are making it descriptive does not mean that it shouldn't be informative. Again, you want to inform people, you want to communicate knowledge, you want to disseminate knowledge. Your major contribution has to be communicated. So abstract should be, if you ask me, informative. But for an experimental design, you may want to be descriptive so that any reader is able to follow through the processes that you have gone through.
Yes. It's been a very wonderful moment. In fact, the question and answer section was so elaborate, and I'm happy that a lot of our audience participants were actually following, and it's a very, very interesting one. Because of our time, We will stop the question and answer there. We usually promise our audience, our participants, that we are always ready for follow-up questions. And by the time we have such follow-up questions, definitely we will follow you too, Prof, so that you can still provide the required answers for them. But sincerely, you have done wonderfully well, and we want to appreciate you. On that beautiful note, I don't know if the venue where you are is such that you can be on your feet, because one professor says that you don't collect certificates while sitting down. So, Ma, this is a certificate of appreciation presented to you, Professor Sidiqat Aderinoye-Abdulwahab, in recognition of your exceptional contribution as guest speaker at the September 2024 edition of Researchment Academy, where you discuss abstracts. Today, September 13, 2024. Congratulations, ma, and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ma.
My pleasure. Thank you too.
Yeah. Gentlemen, dear participants, I want to, the next item on our program, can you remind me now? That should be an announcement if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if it's announced, okay. Anyway, gentlemen and ladies, I want to appreciate all of us for coming. The major announcement before us is that having completed this 12th edition in this series, this is our first series, our first outing, and we have made it for 12 months. And because of that, we want to have not just a holiday for next month, but we want to have a full house celebration. And that is what I want all of us to look ahead for. The date will be communicated to all of us, and it's going to be very exciting. After this series, we are also going to look at the pros and cons, our achievements, as well as where we have mistakes, so that we can come back and announce our next series. But this next month, what we are going to be having as holiday, or what we call end of series celebration, is actually going to be a celebration, a very big party, and it's going to be very wonderful, because we will make our promises, we will fulfill our promises. And what are those our promises? Our promises are that we are going to reward participants. We are going to certificate participants. And we have so many sections where participants will be rewarded. It is not impossible that you are one of them, and that is why you cannot afford to miss our celebration edition for next month. Please look forward to it, and you will so much enjoy it. Some people are first timer; they always come in first. We normally note all those small things, and we are going to reward it because we have a robust record of how our Researchment Academy, how our participants are doing. So let me leave it there and allow you to wait for that edition where you even assist us to spread the news so much. I want to finally, before I invite my CEO for final closing remark, I want to appreciate all of us. Nigeria has been taking the lead, maybe because the director is in Nigeria, but the truth remains that we have covered. In fact, in a particular edition, we discovered that we have more than 33 countries in the world that are showcasing what we are doing, and we feel encouraged, and we are so happy with all of you, and we thank you so much for being part of our efforts, and we are ready to do more. We're ready to do more because of what we are